banana and me, but it's a Bible study.
Yeah, and today we're actually going because it's what's next weekend?
Easter.
Yeah, so today we decided we're
Gonna
not
do
quite
the Last
finished the
Supper.
Moses thing, but we'll go back and do that. Today we're going to do
The Last
the
Supper.
Easter theme, yeah. But we're going to start with the Last Supper.
And Dominic, if you're watching this, thank you for my bracelet.
So do you guys, excuse me, I don't know why I was coughing.
Can I tell them what we have?
Sure.
We have a bunch of food. So they said they had fresh fruit, so we got pomegranate, oranges, apples, and blackberries. We have, they said they ate lamb, so what is this?
Kebab lamb. Yeah, this one's not lamb, but yeah.
Yes. It's like
And-
meat. We have that bread, which I don't remember what it's
With
called.
the unleavened bread.
And then,
And
since we can't have wine, we have juice.
And they always had, they had different types of oils, like olive oil, so I just put the olive oil out there. So we were kind of looking at the things that they would have ate back then. And do you guys know what the Last Supper was? Do you know what the Last Supper was?
The Last Supper of Jesus.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, isn't it? It's sad. He was the Last Supper that his disciples had with him.
Yeah.
But something interesting I got to tell you is that they did drink wine, and they had unleavened bread. Do you know why they had a bread called unleavened? Do you know what unleavened bread is?
They didn't rise.
It
They
didn't
don't put.
Do you know why they had that? Because this was actually a Passover dinner. Do you know what a Passover dinner was? Do you remember in the story of Moses?
The angel would pass over.
Yeah, when they put the blood on the door so they wouldn't get the firstborn baby.
Is that what that's
Do you
supposed to
remember that?
resemble?
No. Do you know that?
Kind of does though.
Do you know in the story of Moses, do you remember? The angel of death that passed over? It passed over the door. So every year they would celebrate that because remember in Moses all the babies.
They put the blood on the door so that the angel didn't kill their babies.
You remember that? Take the firstborn baby, yeah. That was called Passover, so that means it would.
What if
pass
it was
over.
twins? Then would they kill both?
That's a good question. I have no idea. So, anyways, the dinner was called a Passover dinner, and they happened to have the last Passover dinner with Jesus before he was crucified. So that's why it was called the Last Supper. And it says that the Last Supper was eaten by Jesus and his apostles shortly before Jesus was betrayed and killed. This is probably the most famous meal of all time. And this is what similar stuff they would have eaten during the meal. They had a big feast, I'm sure. We kind of just put stuff together, right?
Because it's only 3 of us. We don't need a ton.
Yeah. And Jesus, the wine and the unleavened bread is actually called communion because Jesus said to break the bread and have, which we can do right now. He would break the
Can I
bread. Sure. He would break the bread and he would pass it around. And they would have that with some of the wine. Here, Easton. Oh, I don't want to spill. There you go. This isn't real wine.
Yeah, it's juice, obviously.
Yeah. There's something interesting about this. I don't know. Pretty big.
Easton,
There you go, Easton.
special bread.
Just have some. I'll pretend. Anyway, so you'd have this.
Very powdery all over my hands, and now my
Yeah.
hands are greasy.
Okay, so he said that he wanted that the wine represented his blood
Try it, Easton.
and that the body, the bread represented his body.
Yeah, you can try it.
Do you know why he said that? Because it's great, Easton. You drink it all the time. Because he said this why, Emma, because did he know that he was already going to die on the cross? Yeah, he did. So he already knew that.
Very good.
And do you know that Jesus said that he wanted you to do this? Easton, that he wanted you to drink this and have the bread until he returned. Did you know that? So this is something that you're supposed to do all the time. You did this in school, right?
Grade 3.
Yeah, and he wanted us to do this in remembrance of what he did for us. Now, how many disciples were with Jesus? Do Do you know?
10.
Close. How many disciples are with Jesus?
12?
12. No, I didn't say that.
That's okay.
There were 12 disciples, and do you know what the disciples were? Do you know what
People
a disciple
follow
was?
Jesus.
People that follow Jesus. Exactly. Did you know, were they his friends?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They were his family.
They were his family, yeah. So their names were Peter, Andrew, James, John, Matthew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew, James, Jude,
Simon.
and Simon. So they were actually 12 of them and 13 at the dinner table. Emma's going to read this because it's Matthew 26, 17 to 30, so she can read us that scripture. Listen to the story, Easton.
Does it go past this part or just this?
I think it ends there.
No.
Oh, no, it goes right to there. Yeah, go right to there. So Emma's going to read us the story on it. Easton, what did you want to eat? I'll pass you some food.
On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" He replied, "Go in the city to a certain man and tell him the teacher says, 'My appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was dining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me."
Oh, someone's going to betray him. Do you know what betray means? What does it mean?
Betray.
What does it
It
mean?
means disagree.
Like turn someone in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of betray.
I don't know.
Like
Betray,
it's-
like. No, I don't know what turn someone in.
Okay, so if somebody...
When
Yeah, go ahead, Emma.
they were very sad and began to say to him one after another, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me."
Oh, and that was interesting because he said the one that dipped his hand in the bowl with me. Because they used to have little bowls, like our hands are sticky, so that they would have a little bowl and then they would put their hand in the bowl and they would wipe their hands with it and clean it off. And so one of the disciples put his hand in the bowl with Jesus. Guess who it was?
No, don't spoil it.
Okay, who was it, Emma?
The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but what does it say?
Woe. Woe to that man.
Who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born. Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi."
So who was the betrayer?
Judas. Jesus answered, "You have said so."
So who
Well-
betrayed Jesus?
While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it
I think
with
that's-
you in my Father's kingdom." When they had sung, what does that say?
I think that's a cool thing. They sang a song.
They went out to Mount Olivet.
So what's interesting about that, Jesus said he would not drink wine until he drinks it with us together at the big party he's going to have. You know what it's called? The marriage of the bride of Christ, which is the church, and Jesus. So he's going to have a big party, and he's not going to drink wine until we get there to do it with him. How cool is that? And then it says, Jesus had been with his disciples how long? Do you know how long his ministry was or how long he'd been with them? 3 to 4 years. Did you know that, Easton? Oh, I mean, you better grab some of these because Easton's gobbling them up. They're so good. Amazing blackberries. Right, Easton?
Yeah.
Have another one.
No, I want all of them.
No, you can have them. Okay. So they were with Jesus 3 to 4 years. But after they ate their dinner, the disciples and Jesus left and went to a place called the Mount of Olives. This is olive wine. So they went to a place called the Mount of
Olive oil.
Olives. Yeah, olive oil. After dinner, there Judas. Yes.
I think so.
Good job. Do you want anything else? Do you want a pomegranate? Do you know how to eat a pomegranate? Have you ever
I've
eaten
never had one and I don't want to try one.
You would love it. You eat the seeds and you eat the stuff around the seeds.
You don't have to.
And it's
you don't
very
want to.
sweet. Do you want to try it?
I
Okay, it says after dinner, the disciples and Jesus left the dinner, right, Easton? And they went to the place called the Mount of Olives. But when they got there, Jesus went off to pray because he was very scared because he knew that they were going to come and arrest him, and he was very nervous about it. Do you think you would be scared if you knew they were going to come and get you? Yeah, he was not too. I'm sure he wasn't too. He knew he was going to do it, but he was pretty nervous. Do you think you would be scared?
Yes.
Yeah. So Judas, the guy that betrayed him,
No, I won't. Gotcha.
God's with me. That's a great thing to say. He said, you're right. I know that Jesus knew that. Obviously, that was his father, right? But he was still nervous. So Judas came back and he brought soldiers with him because he went to the Sanhedrin and he told them where Jesus was, so he turned him in, right? Do you know how much he turned him in for? 30 pieces of silver.
is that a lot?
No, not very much. So he basically,
Is that like how much would that be now?
I have no idea. But he doesn't matter. He betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. They arrested Jesus and they brought him to a Roman leader called Pontius Pilate. When they got there, they harassed Jesus and whipped him. And after taking him before the people, they sentenced him to death on the cross. Jesus never did anything wrong in his whole life. He committed no sin at all. We've all committed sin, but Jesus never committed any sin. Did you know that, Easton? Oh, I'll do that. You peel it and then I'll do that for you.
My pomegranate
Jesus.
seed exploded on my head.
Oh, wow. It's really sweet. You got that? Okay, so he had never done anything wrong in his whole life, never committed a sin, and he was falsely accused of so many things. So, you know what they did? They made a crown. Do you know what, for his head? Do you know what kind of crown they made?
Of spikes.
Not with spikes. What
Thorns.
Thorns. Have you pricked yourself on a thorn or
Like a
grandma's
rose bush?
rose bushes before? I have.
I
and
have.
they bleed.
Yes, you have fun.
I do. And they made him a crown of thorns, and then they pushed it into his head so the blood was running down his head. That's how mean they were. And then they spit on him. And then they made him carry the super heavy wooden cross all the way up to the hill called Golgotha. Then they took wooden stakes and they hammered him through his hands and his feet.
Ethan,
And they nailed him
how
to a
would you like
cross.
to have someone hammer nails through your hands?
But you know where they put it? They put it through here.
Oh.
Because if they did it here, it would split. Because you're hanging all the way to your body. So they did it like this, Easton. And they put it through here and through his feet. And they nailed him to a cross. And then they took the cross and they stood it upright. So he hung on the cross until he died. Did you
How
know
long did that take?
It's very interesting because you're going to read the passage on that. I just got it right here. It's from Mark. Emma's going to
Can you read it? I'm eating.
Okay. From a passage in Mark 15, it's clear that Jesus was crucified on the 3rd hour, and at the 6th hour, darkness fell over the whole land. So darkness fell on everything. and he died on the 9th hour. So Jesus was on the cross for 6 hours before he died.
That's sad.
When he died, there was a great earthquake. Did you
Did
know?
he die because so much blood?
Actually, I think that your lungs would fill up with blood and everything, and you would suffocate to death. And then they took a sword and they pierced it into his side.
They do that to make sure that you're dead.
And then, anyways, so then when he died, Easton, there was a great earthquake, a massive earthquake. Yeah, God sent a massive earthquake. And then you know what happened after that? Tell me if you know.
Yeah.
What would happen?
Everybody understand. Ooh.
No, a massive earthquake. But you know what else happened?
What?
All the tombs. What is the tomb?
They rise from the dead.
The people that were
Dead.
saints, people that followed God,
They
They were-
rise from the
they
dead.
did actually.
And they uncovered themselves.
What would you do if you saw them? We're not talking
But
zombies here. We're
they didn't
talking-
look like zombies. Like, imagine if Sissy died and you knew that I wasn't here anymore, and then one day you just saw me walking down the street.
Can you imagine?
With a cast on.
No.
Nothing on.
And
Anyways.
look, they turned purple from the pomegranate.
So yes, Easton. So they took Jesus after that from the cross, and then what did they do?
Buried him in a tomb.
What's a tomb, Easton?
It's a place in a mountain.
Yeah, it's like a big hole, and then they put a
And
rock
then
in
they
front of
put
it.
a giant. And then they got bunch of people to put a rock in.
How heavy would that rock be?
1 billion of these houses.
That's right.
Not a billion.
Okay, listen to this though. After 3 days, 3 women that followed Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Salome, and Jesus' mother Mary, went to the tomb where Jesus was. Did you know that? What happened when they get to the tomb?
Jesus was already out, and he was an angel.
You're right. It says when he got there, some angels were there, and the tomb was empty. The big rock blocking the tomb was rolled out of the way, and Jesus was gone. Do you think they kind of freaked out?
Yeah.
Would you freak out if you went to my
They
grave
thought
and I
someone
was gone?
stole it.
What would you do? You'd be like, Nana went away. Where did Nana go?
Did she run away? Like, nah, I don't want to be here anymore. Nah.
That's true.
I would probably think
Yeah? Would you? Okay. But
You
let's
probably what?
faint. You'd probably faint. According to the historical record, after Jesus' death on the cross and his burial in the tomb, Jesus appeared to how many people? Take a wild guess. How many people saw Jesus alive after that? 500 it says. On 12 different occasions.
the
Yeah?
ones from the last dinner might have saw it.
Yeah, they all saw him. Yes, you're absolutely right. They did. But a whole bunch of other people too. 500 people. But all but one sighting was within the first 40 days following Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. So it meant that he was hanging around with everybody for at least 40 days.
40 days again.
Yeah, another 40, Emma. We're going to be doing research on 40. So in Acts 1, 9-12, it says, after this time, Jesus, so after he was with everybody, do you know that he actually went to the disciples? He even ate dinner with them?
Again?
Yeah, he did. He ate dinner and everything with them.
Again?
Yeah, but he was supposed to be dead. What would you do?
Just be like,
Okay.
Okay. So after everybody saw him, listen to, what do you think happened to him? What happened with Jesus then? He's hanging around with his friends, he's eating with them. And they're like, you're supposed to have died. Do you think they're pretty excited? Yeah, they're very excited.
I'm freaked out.
I'm freaked out.
Aren't they supposed to be
But
dead?
do you know what he
But
said
are
to them?
happy?
Yeah, do you know what they said to him?
What?
What he said to them. He said, if you follow me, then even though you would be dead, when you die, you will be alive like him. So if you're a Christian, will you actually die?
Yeah.
You'll die, but what'll happen?
You will be alive forever.
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 That you can't even think about that. You can't even think of eternity.
I know, I can't comprehend it, right? So this is what happens. Acts 1:9-12. After this time, Jesus went up to heaven to sit on his throne on the right-hand side of his Father. So
Oh,
where
right.
is Jesus now?
In heaven.
Yeah, he is in heaven. Where's his throne?
On the right side of God.
God,
God.
his Father, right?
On the right.
After he said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid them from his sight. So Jesus went like this, right up into the air, and then a cloud covered him. So where is Jesus?
In heaven.
In
right
heaven.
now.
Exactly. Where is he sitting? On the throne.
On the
On
right
the
of
right
God.
side of
Because he's King Jesus now, right? And it says they were looking intently up to the sky.
forever King God. And forever King everyone.
Yeah, and you,
And Queen.
yes, you're right. We'll be the sons and daughters of the King and King, right? Okay, it says, and they looked.
King and King.
Yes, sorry. They looked intently up to the sky as he was going. Then suddenly, two men. So here's the disciples looking up because they're going, oh, what would you do if you'd see me floating up to the sky? Think about it. And then when they saw that, two men dressed in white stood beside them. What do you think they were?
Angels.
That's right. They said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand here looking into the sky? This same Jesus who was taken from you into heaven will come back in the same way that you see him go to heaven. So tell me, how is Jesus coming back?
Floating down.
Yeah, they're saying, what did they say here, Emma? Did you hear what I just said? They said they looked at him, and they said, the angel said, this same Jesus who's been taken from you into heaven will come back in the same way that you see him go to heaven.
Yeah.
So how's he coming back?
Floating down.
Yeah, from the clouds, right?
I thought he's gonna be on a horse.
He is going to be on a horse. But regardless, he's coming back.
He should be on a unicorn.
So of everybody in the entire universe, who's ever come
No,
back?
on the
from-
lawn, that dinosaur has a slide.
Oh.
Just holding.
So when people celebrate Easter, they're celebrating,
A bunny.
yeah, which has nothing to do with Jesus, right?
Nothing.
So today we had our Last Supper celebration, and we talked about Jesus, and we learned about Jesus and what happened to him. The most important
And
thing
you
is
should
that-
try this too.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great Easter. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.